There's another question here on the political front, which is why should Christians be involved in the public squares? Yeah, look, maybe I'll answer it this way. I mean, I could go into a number of, there's several answers to the question, but let me answer it this way. Because when Jesus talks about the formation of our Christian character, he then goes on to explain that in the formation of the inward character, you then have outward activity. And he describes that outward activity as being the light of the world and the salt of the earth, right? The light of the world and the salt of the earth. Not the light of the church, the salt of the church, the light of the home, the world and the earth. And these are things then that manifest our Christian character, what we believe publicly. So that people will see your good works, it says. And it says those good works that are done should be as obvious as possible where you can. You know, it's not just about a light that's under a basket or a lamp that's on a stand in a house, but a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden. Now, there's no better opportunity to be seen in Christian testimony than in public squares, than in those realms that are public facing. And so, of course, that is a part of the areas in which we testify of truth, goodness, and Christ as much as anywhere else. And Jesus actually points out that there is a evangelistic outcome to that. He says people will see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven, and also people will persecute you and revile you and hate you for it. He says you're going to get both. But see, you do it because people will see the good, right? And there's a testimony in that. And I've been blessed, you know, through the work that we do to know that that is true. It does happen. It's very powerful. And God is at work through the testimony of his people, the public testimony of his people. So that's the first reason. The other thing is that in relation to governments in particular, I think we need to understand that God is concerned about that. He appoints, you know, the governing authorities are ordained of God, so that's governing authority is something that he desires for this world. And they are called ministers and servants of God in Romans 13. They're doing a job for God, a ministry for God, and it's described there as a ministry of righteousness. They are punishing evil and they're rewarding good, and that's something that God would have in the world. And that means that God's interested in that. That means that there must be people who are called to that in God's design. I know Christians in Parliament who are called to that in God's design. And it must mean that God is concerned about that. Now, I think we see in 1 Timothy 2 where that concern leads, which is that God says, pray for these. I mean, Paul says, pray for these people. Why? He says that we might live a godly life that's a life of peace. So that the life of peace and godliness, fulfilling all that God requires of us in this community, would be peaceful. We wouldn't be punished for it. We wouldn't lose religious freedoms. We wouldn't come under the banner of wrongdoers, but that we would be rewarded, that a righteous government would allow righteousness to flourish through God's people in the community. But it's not just about us, right? It's about others. Because he says God desires all people everywhere to come to a knowledge of the truth. And that's the effect of the life of godliness being a light in the world and being unshackled and unrestrained, is that people come to a knowledge of the truth and are saved. So that freedom that we have at a civic level directly impacts upon the gospel itself, the testimony of Jesus, and the proclamation of truth at large in the community. So you bet you, Christians should definitely be involved in politics in the public squares, not exclusively and not always everyone. You know, this isn't everyone's calling, but it is a key area that I don't understand why it would be lopped off from our area of Christian influence, witness, testimony, etc. No, it's all of life. And in this area in particular, there's some reasons why, and not all of them, but there's some reasons why we should be very much concerned about it. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, then make sure to hit the like button. If you want to never miss another video again, make sure to subscribe, or you can right now watch more videos right here. Cheers.